Hi guys, my name is Michelle. Recently, my personal life fell apart, and I almost had to go to the hospital. And all this happened because the person who I thought was my friend was slowly poisoning me. So, this is my boyfriend, Matt. We've been dating for over a month, and recently he asked me out on a double date. It was supposed to be Matt and I, and his friend with his girlfriend. It sounded interesting, and we met for a walk in the park. Greg and Dinah had also started their relationship just a couple weeks ago, and they seemed pretty nice to me. The only strange thing was that Dinah was often silent, and she would look at me and my boyfriend awkwardly. I guess she was just a little uncomfortable with the new group. Anyway, we started seeing each other more often. But soon strange things started happening, and I was kind of embarrassed about it because I was disrupting our get-togethers. I mean, not on purpose. I remember the night it happened for the first time. We had big plans. We were going to the movies, then to some cafe, and then a little party at Greg's house. Matt and I were in line for tickets, and Greg and Dinah came over with a pile of food and Coke. We were very excited, and were just thinking about how cool our evening was going to be. But unfortunately, I couldn't go to the party. While we were watching the movie, I started to feel bad. I started to have a strong headache, and I just wanted to sleep. I really wanted to keep hanging out, but I just couldn't. I was sorry, but I asked Greg to take me home. I knew how much he wanted to keep hanging out, but he was understanding. He knew that I didn't do it on purpose. But a few days later, it happened again. The four of us were at an amusement park, and after lunch, I had the same symptoms. And I had to leave again. I didn't know what it was. All the symptoms always disappear the next morning. Then it repeated several more times. I honestly tried to fight it. I endured headaches and drowsiness, but I still infected the party with my bad mood. I was very ashamed of it. Besides, I could see that Matt was getting tired of it. Imagine your girlfriend telling you that it's time to leave in the midst of the fun over and over again. So he was often upset. He didn't say anything to me about it, but his patience soon came to an end. Matt had a birthday, and we decided to organize a mini hike. We loaded the tents and food into the car, picked up Greg and Dinah, and headed out of town. We found a beautiful clearing near a lake, camped there, and prepared for the best weekend of our lives. We swam in the lake, played volleyball, then started a fire and started cooking dinner. Everything had to go perfectly. But after dinner, I started to feel bad again. I didn't want to spoil the party, so I hid my feelings as best I could. I continued to eat, to talk, to have fun, and to laugh. But my symptoms continued to get worse. This time, I had a bad stomachache and had to ask Matt to drive me home. The party was over and Matt's birthday was ruined. And it was my fault. Worst of all, I couldn't even control it. In the midst of the night, we had to pack everything and go back to the city. We drove in complete silence in a very tense atmosphere. I knew Matt was really angry at the time, and I was really sorry that it was my fault. Matt came to my house the next morning and we had a conversation. He said he was tired of my moods and he didn't like that I was constantly disrupting get-togethers with his friends. I always started to feel bad only when the four of us got together. That's a very strange coincidence, isn't it? He thought I just didn't like Greg and Dinah, and that every time I would ruin the get-together on purpose. It hurt his feelings because Greg was his best friend, and if he had to choose between me and him, he would choose Greg. As you could probably understand, we broke up and I was very sad about that. I couldn't understand why he thought I did it on purpose. How could he think such a thing? But there was nothing I could do about it. He left me. I was pining for him, wondering why it happened. It was a really weird fact that I only felt bad when we all got together. There was something strange about it, and I didn't understand what. But soon there was another event that gave me a chance to figure everything out. Greg stopped me when I was walking down the school hallway. He looked very sad and worried. It turned out that it was not just me who had problems in their personal life. Greg said that Dinah dumped him, and he didn't understand why she did it. He suspected that Dinah had another boyfriend, so she decided to break up with him. He was very upset and didn't know what to do. He asked me if maybe I could talk to her and try to figure out what was going on. I agreed. You know, despite what my ex-boyfriend thought about me, I really liked Greg and Dinah, and I thought of them as my friends, so I couldn't refuse to help them. I went to her that same day after the next class, when she was near her locker. I tried to start from afar, and told her how I had broken up with Matt, and then asked her how she was doing with Greg. But she was aggressive from the start. She obviously didn't want to talk because she was hiding something. She was especially nervous when I looked in her locker. I thought there might be a picture of her with her new boyfriend, or a note from him. Whatever it was definitely there. Okay, look, I think that I'm an honest and decent person, and I would never go through other people's stuff. But there was something clearly wrong. As a friend, she could have told me everything, but she started acting weird. So she was definitely hiding something. I looked around and made sure no one was near me. I've seen her open it dozens of times, at least enough to figure out the code. Then I opened her locker and I started looking for something. But what I found gave me the creeps. There was a bottle of pills. It was a strong sedative. I think it was prescribed to Dinah's mother, and it looks like she stole it from her. But that was not the point. The jar had the side effects of the drug written on it. And guess what? Among them were headaches and nausea. Here it was! The puzzle formed in my head. That's why I felt bad every time we got together. Dinah was slipping me these pills, first in my Coke when we were at the movies, then in the park, and most importantly, at Matt's birthday picnic. And she was doing it to turn my boyfriend against me. That's why Matt thought I was just cranky and didn't like his friends. She put him up to it. She set up everything. But why? The answer was obvious. She liked Matt. And that's why she looked at him awkwardly in the first place. And that's why she got nervous when we started talking about guys. I took this bottle of medicine, closed the locker, and left. Greg and I had a lot to talk about. The situation was clear. Dinah was dating Matt now, and we were both losers in that situation. But we weren't going to put up with it, so we figured out how to punish them. All we had to do was catch them together, and soon we succeeded. One day, Greg and I walked into the dining room and found our exes sitting at a table together. Perfect. We sat down right in front of them as if nothing had happened. We clearly caught them off guard. Greg immediately started to provoke them, and soon an argument began. The boys shouted loudly and insulted each other. And then they got up and wanted to start fighting. But then other people began to try to separate them. This hustle was exactly what I needed. When everyone was looking at them, I quickly slipped them this medicine that I stole from Dinah, so they'd both know how unpleasant it was. Soon the school security came and stopped the brawl. Greg and I left so they can continue their lunch in peace. Now all I had to do was wait until the medicine started to work. And it happened. After the next lesson, Matt and Dinah found me in the hallway. They were so angry, or rather, as angry as the sedative could allow. Dinah accused me of putting something in their food. And it was a stupid thing to do, because I had all the cards. I took out the bottle of medicine with Dinah's last name on it, and told my ex everything about how she had slowly poisoned me while we hung out so he would eventually leave me. But the thing is, I overdosed them a little bit, and their symptoms were much stronger than mine. They even had to go to the hospital for help. Greg and I sat outside the ER, waiting for the doctors to examine them. Greg was calm. He was absolutely sure that we had done the right thing. Dinah not only stole my boyfriend, she also broke up two friends. I can understand Greg too. His girlfriend was dating his best friend now. That must have hurt his ego a lot. But I was really worried. We had committed a crime, and if Matt and Dinah had gone to the police, Greg and I could have a huge problem. Thank God they were okay. But I was very scared because it could have ended very badly. It makes me feel guilty. That's the lesson I learned from the situation. Revenge is always bad, in any case. After that, Matt apologized to me and wanted to make up. I accepted the apology, but I didn't want to date a guy who doesn't trust his girlfriend. and instead of offering to help her, he listens to other people's opinions about her. Thanks for watching! Do you think they deserve to be punished for what they did? Write about it in the comments. And be sure to share the story with your friends.